Connor Wong has been a key piece for the Boston Red Sox this season, but how good has he really actually been? More on today's Locked On Red Sox.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Gabby, former ESPN social media associate and current host of the Boston Balling podcast, and I am here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox, Monday through Friday, straight to your favorite podcast feed. And want to know the best part? It's free, so might as well tune in and take advantage of it. Locked On is your team every day. From brakes to exhaust kits and beyond, eBay Motors has over 122 million parts to keep your ride or die alive. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to bring home that big win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay guaranteed fit, only available to U.S. customers. Welcome to Locked On Red Sox and happy Friday, one of the best days of the week. You finally made it through the week, and the Red Sox had a pretty good homestand this week overall, going 4-2, losing one game against the Cubs and one game against the Giants. They did fall in the third game of the series against the Giants, 3-1, and there was just not much offense. The Red Sox had opportunities to win the game, including in the first couple innings, because the Giants starter, Harrison, was walking quite a few hitters early on. He did give up 5 walks in the game, but the Red Sox could not take advantage. They stranded a lot of base runners in the game, so it just was not their day offensively, and the pitching looked pretty good overall. Josh Winkowski went 4.1 innings, giving up 2 hits and 1 earned run. He also gave up 2 walks. He gave up a home run to Yastrzemski, which, I mean, if it's going to be anybody, he's a good choice. Bernardino pitched 1 inning, gave up no runs. And Cam Boozer pitched 1 inning, giving up no runs. Zack Kelly went 0.2 innings, giving up 4 hits and 2 earned runs. So it was definitely not his day on the mound. But overall, the Red Sox did what they could, and the offense just couldn't get it going. And then there was a newbie on the mound too as well, and I'm going to be diving into how he looked in his debut a little bit later on the show. But one player who has absolutely been fantastic this year that isn't quite being talked about enough is Connor Wong. He went 0 for 3 on Thursday, but he has been one of the most consistent hitters in the Red Sox lineup this year. He has a .351 batting average, .380 on base percentage, and .595 slugging over the course of this season so far. 14 RBIs and 9 runs scored. He's also taken 71 at-bats. So for a catcher, that's very good. He has 26 hits on the year. He barely trails Salvador Perez and has the second best OPS among all catchers this season in baseball. He's hit 5 home runs, 3 doubles, and recorded 14 RBIs. So he's had a really good season at the plate so far. And it seems like he's built up an added confidence that he never had last year, because last year, Connor Wong was one of those players who, for a lot of the season, was an automatic out, unfortunately, and he struck out a lot. He didn't really have a lot of ways in which he was able to get on base, and he wasn't able to hit as many pitches consistently. But this year, he's really been a shining light in the Red Sox offense. And one of the biggest reasons why this is important for me is because good catchers are not often good hitters too. A lot of times you see a catcher who's good defensively because that's an important skill for a catcher to have, but then when it comes to their offense, that's just not really as much of a strong suit for them. So for Connor Wong to be as good at the plate as he has been this year could be a game changer moving forward. And when you think about the catching tandem of him and Reese McGuire, they both have been hitting pretty well. But if you notice lately, Wong has been getting more playing time, and they early on in the season were alternating days in which they were starting at catcher, but lately they haven't had restart as much, and Wong's been catching consecutive days, and then Reese would catch a day and then Wong for another 2 days again. So the Red Sox are definitely starting to send the message that they see Connor Wong as their primary starting catcher and Reese as the backup. And I feel like the more that the season goes on, the more they're going to enforce that of we see Wong as our number one guy. And that's important because when it comes to the future and the fact that they have Kyle Teal waiting in the rafters to eventually get called up to the majors and is expected to be this very high level talent, then the Red Sox have to think about, okay, so which catcher stays and which catcher goes? Because obviously when Kyle Teal comes up, they're going to be getting rid of one of these two catchers because they won't need three catchers on the active roster at all times. So in that regard, yes, Reese McGuire is hitting well, but he's not hitting as well as Wong. So from the standpoint of thinking about the future, I'm sure the Red Sox feel like they believe more in Wong, and his defensive abilities are better. He does have a bit better of an arm when it comes to throwing out base stealers, and Reese McGuire has made some nice plays for sure. He's been able to gun down some guys who are trying to steal second before for sure, but not as frequently or consistently as Wong does. So Wong does get the edge as a defensive catcher, but overall, in terms of their productivity as a duo, they've been very good. They've been one of the best catching tandems overall in baseball. So this is a good problem for the Red Sox to have, because the more that the season progresses, if Connor Wong is continuing to perform at this high level, then that means that for the Red Sox, that'll make their decision pretty easy in terms of saying, okay, so we believe in Connor Wong long term to be on this catching tandem, regardless of if he's number one or number two when Kyle Teal comes up. And I'm sure at first when Teal comes up, until he gets himself acclimated, they'll definitely see Connor Wong as the number one. But eventually, I'm sure Teal will become the number one. So then in that case, Wong would be the number two. But Connor Wong is putting up very competitive numbers at the plate this year. And one of the biggest things that stands out to me is that his swing and miss rate is just not nearly as much as it was last year. Last year, he struck out 33.3% of the time. And this year, he's striking out 21.3% of the time. So he's decreased that percentage a lot, and he's making a lot of hard contact. He did take more walks last year. He walked about 5.5% of the time. This year it's 1.3%. So he really isn't taking his walks that much, but it's a significant difference in his ability to make contact. Last year he wasn't making as much contact frequently as he is now. Last year his batting average was a 235. So he's made significant strides at the plate this year. And when the Red Sox traded for him and he was brought over in that Mookie Betts trade, it almost felt like now there was so much pressure on him to pan out because of the fact that Jeter Downs didn't work out. They traded Alex Verdugo, and now they have Connor Wong here. And this, I feel like, was the guy they were hoping to eventually get when they did trade for him. They knew there was upside there, and the Red Sox weren't really seeing that upside, and now I feel like they finally are. So they're able to justify more why they wanted him to be a part of that trade, because this would look really tough on the Red Sox if all three pieces of that trade didn't pan out. So this is actually really good news for the Red Sox that they were patient over the last few years, and now he's finally having a season in which the Red Sox can look back and say, yeah, this is why we wanted him here. This is the guy that we originally traded for, that we were hoping to get something from. He's very aware out there. He knows how to calm down his pitchers when they're a little bit rattled or they're starting to lose their command a little bit. He goes out there and kind of gets them back to being level and being at a place where they can refocus and continue to pitch well. So I'm very happy with his performances this year. He definitely has changed a lot of things. He's not swinging and missing as much. He's generating a lot of hard contact and putting the ball in play and getting himself on base. And that's doing his job in every sense of the word. So good for Connor Wong. Really happy with the season he's having. I hope this continues because that would be absolutely huge for the Red Sox if they have a catcher who is playing as well as he has been. Coming up, I'm going to be talking about the newbies that are on the Red Sox roster and the impact they've made so far, and a roster move that was also made recently. I don't know about you, but I always need a guide when it comes to my car and I need somebody to help me out. So eBay Motors absolutely is the place for you if you're looking for a place that truly has your back when it comes to knowing the right parts for your vehicle. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. It truly will have your back. I promise you won't be disappointed. And you know what you also won't be disappointed in? Is Locked On Sports Today. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. You definitely won't be disappointed in Locked On Sports Today because it is a great way to stay caught up in all things going on in sports. So check that out today. The Boston Red Sox have had a lot of roster movement recently, including activating one of their newbies and adding him to Thursday's lineup, and that was Zack, who is meant to be used as a utility player. He can play a few infield positions, so he essentially is here to take over the role that Pablo Reyes had. And the corresponding roster move to add him was optioning Manuel Valdez back down to AAA. And I was a little bit surprised by that move. I thought that it was going to end up being David Hamilton because I thought that Valdez was playing a little bit better. But I think from the Red Sox standpoint, they see Hamilton as having a bit more upside because of his speed and ability to steal bases and the fact that defensively he can offer a little bit more versatility. So in the long run, the Red Sox seem to be prioritizing defense because it was very clear that Hamilton was struggling at the plate and Valdez was a better offensive player. And not that Valdez was putting up insane numbers offensively, but he would get a big hit here and there. So I think there were a lot of people surprised by that move. I was also part of that group. I thought that the corresponding move to activate Short would be to send down David Hamilton, but that didn't happen. It was Valdez, and Alex Cora did talk about the fact that he's going to be just getting more experience in different positions when he's down at AAA, and I think that'll be good for him, just gain more versatility so that next time he gets called up, maybe he has a more permanent spot on the roster in terms of his skill set. So Zack Short was activated and was in the Red Sox lineup on Thursday and went 0 for 3. Nothing too spectacular there. And then Garrett Cooper, who also was acquired recently, was in the lineup and went 1 for 4. He hasn't been super impressive. He did take a ball right into his arm in a game recently and had to leave the game early. He looked like he was in a lot of pain. It was in his first at bat in a Red Sox uniform. So then he sat for a day and he was in the lineup on Thursday. He's batting .256 with a .333 on base percentage and .395 slugging. So there's a lot more to see from Garrett Cooper. He was DHing on Thursday, and I hope that he can start to really put it together at the plate, because the Red Sox are definitely going to need this platoon of Dominic Smith and Garrett Cooper to perform well. So that's something that I'm going to be looking out for moving forward when it comes to the Red Sox and their ability to hold down the fort at first base until Casas comes back, because they didn't really have much of a choice because Bobby Dalbec just has not been cutting it. So from the standpoint of looking for somebody who's reliable to be able to play first base, these two guys both can get the job done, I'm sure, a lot more effectively than what Dalbec was doing. So I'm keeping an eye on both of them offensively moving forward. And Zack Short, what can he provide? His defense is what was drawing the Red Sox to him offensively. He doesn't have impressive numbers, but he definitely brings the defense for the Red Sox to be able to rely on him in a lot of different scenarios and in a lot of different infield positions. So it's good that they acquired somebody that can kind of take over that utility role that Pablo Reyes had. And speaking of Bobby Dalbec, he was optioned on Thursday back down to AAA. He was just hitting 132 and just could not click. I will give him credit, though. He did make some nice plays defensively at first base, for sure. I found myself sitting there watching some games and saying, wow, nice play there by Bobby. So he deserves credit for that. His defense definitely is something that is going to serve him well moving forward. But offensively, he was just completely lost at the plate. Lots of strikeouts looking and just couldn't really make a lot of hard contact with the ball. And I felt badly for him because the Red Sox really have never given him a fair shot. It's always just constant getting called up, getting sent back down, getting called up, getting sent back down. And that could be vicious for a player. I think a change of scenery altogether and not being in the Boston Red Sox organization is what's best for him. But the Red Sox don't seem to agree with that. So he was sent back down to AAA with the anticipation of clearing a roster spot for Vaughn Grissom, who is expected to be activated for tonight's game against the Twins, which is very exciting. We can finally say Happy Vaughn Grissom Day, even though earlier this week I did a whole episode on the podcast about Grissom coming back. And then, of course, he got the flu, so he could not be activated that day. But this is what will end up being the corresponding roster move to make room for Grissom. And the Red Sox made the right choice. I mean, Bobby Dalbec just wasn't it, and he wasn't the choice to begin with. Obviously, it was just utilizing a resource while Casas was injured until they found another solution. And I think they were holding out hope that things could work with Bobby, and they just did not. They were hoping that maybe this was going to be the time that he was going to finally start to click, and that just was not the case. So I'm hoping the best for him. I always have. I've always just felt badly for him in the way the Red Sox have handled him throughout his career, because I think he deserves better, and I think he deserves to be in an organization that truly cares about him and his value and wants him to be able to succeed. And I think there's just never been a true roster spot for him in Boston. So the Red Sox should have moved him a long time ago, and now they can't really move him because they won't be able to get value for him, unfortunately, because his value is not very high. So we'll see what happens with that. But the Red Sox are expected to activate Grissom, which is very exciting. And I'm super pumped to see what he can do because he's been so highly anticipated by this Boston Red Sox team. So him coming up and being in the lineup, it's kind of a new look Red Sox lineup now. When you add in either Garrett Cooper or Dom Smith, you add in Zack Short, you add in Vaughn Grissom, there's going to be this sense of a new lineup here for the Red Sox, and I'm hoping they can maintain the same level of offensive competitiveness that they've been showing a lot throughout this season so far, and that some of these new guys can get on board with what the Red Sox offense does and can contribute in a way the Red Sox are hoping they will contribute. And I feel like Vaughn Grisham will. There might be some growing pains. He might not hit 3 home runs in his first day in the lineup, but don't expect that from him. Please take it easy on him. If it's his first day and he doesn't put together the best at bats, it's one day. He's getting into the swing of things, and then hopefully he'll be back and be able to perform at a competitive level moving forward. So it'll be interesting to see how these new guys in general perform, and what are they going to look like in terms of their roles with this Red Sox team? Are they going to be valuable? Are they not going to be valuable? And the Red Sox are still really feeling out whether that is going to be the case or not. I definitely have high hopes. I feel like the Red Sox are in a position where they are still winning games regardless of the fact that they aren't healthy. So it'll be interesting to see how they perform when they are healthy and more guys come back. So hopefully they can get their guys back sooner rather than later and be able to continue to win some games. Nick Pivetta should be coming back soon, so that's exciting. But in terms of the pitching, there is a newbie who made his debut for the Red Sox in Thursday's game, and I'm going to be talking about him and his performance next. If you're looking for a fun way to play daily fantasy sports, you should absolutely head to PrizePicks today. PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 3 million members. It is the easiest and most exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats and watch the winnings roll in. Get in on the playoff action and win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks, as you and the world's best players take the game to a new level during basketball's postseason. This is the perfect time to get involved. Playoffs are insane right now, so many good games. So if you want to get involved in anything related to the basketball postseason, now is your time to join PrizePicks. Testing my skills on PrizePicks this baseball season is the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $100 with just a few taps. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Definitely worth your while if you're looking to have fun with fantasy sports and win some money, so might as well check it out. Okay, bear with me as I am very competitive, and I've been told I have a competitive side, and I am willing to admit that, and that competitive side loves Monopoly Go. I know what you're saying, flag on the play, you've talked about this a lot, but seriously though, there is just so much good stuff in this game. In Monopoly Go, you can team up with friends for timed tournaments where you work together to build up each other's boards. The more you win together, the more awesome prizes you unlock. And there's so much to get. Unique stickers you can trade with friends to complete albums for big prizes, cool new playing pieces to travel the boards with, hilarious emojis for taunting friends when you smash their buildings or heist their vaults. Plus, Monopoly Go feels new and exciting every day with constantly changing tournaments and challenges. A ton include their own unique mini games, like digging for treasure or a robot pachinko machine. And there's always new timed events that help you win big, like massive multipliers for everything you win or rent frenzies. There's always something fun to discover in Monopoly Go, so get off the bench and go download it now, free on Google Play or the App Store. Game on! If you're competitive, I am warning you, you will get addicted, but it's so worth your while. So check out Monopoly Go today. Also, check out Locked On Sports today, as we, as a network, have launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. And now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today, now available on the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is great because it keeps you updated on everything going on in sports, no matter what time of day it is or what time zone you're in. So if you're looking to stay caught up without having to scroll through Twitter all the time, Locked On Sports Today certainly is the place for you. So the Boston Red Sox have a pitcher who made his debut on Thursday for them, and that is Naoyuki Uwasawa, who they acquired from the Rays for cash back in March. He's 30 years old, and the Red Sox primarily signed him as a depth move, and then he was recalled by the Red Sox in the corresponding move when they DFA'd Joely Rodriguez. So he was called up. The Red Sox figured they would give him a shot, which, by the way, Joely Rodriguez went unclaimed, so he was sent to AAA. No surprise there. He was struggling, and I didn't think a team would pick him up. But just a side note there. But with Uwasawa, I was so curious to see how he was going to pitch. So he pitched in Thursday's game. He went 2 innings, gave up 0 earned runs, and struck out 1. He actually looked very, very solid. He had very good stuff, which was great to see. He relied on a few different pitches primarily, and it was nice to see him be able to mix up his pitches a little bit. He had a splitter that seemed to be his shutdown pitch, and that was the pitch he was going to a lot of the time when he was trying to fool hitters. So that's a pitch that he has that I think we should expect to see a lot of as he makes more appearances out of the Red Sox bullpen. Part of the reason he might have pitched so well is maybe because it was his first time, and a lot of these hitters were unfamiliar with him and what he could do, and they hadn't seen him before. So I definitely want to give him some more outings before I really determine what he is as a pitcher. But it certainly was a good sign that he looked as good as he did, because often if a pitcher makes his first appearance, you can expect some good numbers a lot of the time because these hitters are unfamiliar with that pitcher. But once they start to pitch more, if hitters are seeing that pitcher more or they're watching more film of him pitching, then it gets to the point where they could start to figure out who he is as a pitcher, what he likes to throw, what his weaker pitchers are, what his best pitches are. So then you could start to figure out how to approach him if you're an opposing hitter. So definitely need more time before we determine what type of pitcher he is, but I really liked his pitch selection. He has a good fastball, has that splitter that I talked about. Also had a sweeper that he threw in there a couple times. But I thought generally he looked very good. In AAA with the Red Sox, even though he hasn't pitched that much, he was averaging about 10.20 strikeouts per 9 innings. So that's definitely a good sign that he has the ability to generate swings and misses. 4.80 ERA, so not very good, but also not bad either. Definitely average, but I do like his ability to strike guys out and not walk as many. He walks about 2.40 guys on average per 9. So he definitely seems to have good command, and if he can generate strikeouts, that'll put him in a position to succeed moving forward. And when he was brought into the game, I was a little skeptical about it because I was like, this is a close game and you're having this guy make his debut. What if this doesn't work out, and what if he is so nervous that he just has a complete meltdown and it backfires for the Red Sox? I really was a little bit worried about that, but that didn't happen at all. He erased any fears that I had of him coming in. Solid 2 innings pitched. He looked like he was in complete control. He came in and just retired batter after batter. And if that's any indication of the guy we're going to get, then this could be a serious weapon moving forward out of the Red Sox pen. And sometimes that's why it goes to show that it could be worth trying out different guys, because sometimes the same guys over and over again, especially if they're starting to not be as reliable, might not be a good way to feel like you can have more guys that you can pull from and choose from. And now that they've seen Uwasawa pitch, he's gotten his feet wet. Now they know that they can start putting him into games more, and that maybe they can rely on him a lot more heavily when it comes to his skills and his ability to record strikeouts and just record outs in general. So definitely liked what I saw from him. Moving forward, I'd like to see a little bit more and see how he adapts to opposing hitters potentially seeing more of him and figuring him out? How is he going to keep guys on their toes? Is Andrew Bailey going to be able to effectively work with him like he does the other pitchers and honing in on his strengths and weaknesses and having him utilize those pitches at opportune times? Is he going to have the same plate approach as he's had in the past? What's going to work for him and what's not? There's still a lot to figure out in terms of that, but I definitely want to see him pitch with runners on base too, to see how he responds to adversity when it comes to being in a game, and if there's anything about his general approach that changes because of that and changes because he has guys that are on and he has to maybe slow down his pace a little bit or change up what he's throwing so that he can really lock it in, because he went in and pitched and didn't allow base runners when he was out there. So that was the thing, was how does his approach change when there's traffic on the bases, because things tend to change for a lot of pitchers. So that's the biggest thing I'm going to be looking for next time, is can the Red Sox put him into a game when there is traffic on the bases, because can they rely on him in those situations to come through and finish the job and pitch in high leverage situations? Because you could be a good pitcher, but if you're not a good pitcher in crunch time when it's high leverage, then it's not going to work out for you down the road, and it'll be hard for the Red Sox to justify keeping you on their roster. So I definitely want to see him pitch more in general, but especially in high leverage, see how he's able to overcome those situations, and if he can get to the point where he can be a guy who the Red Sox can call upon as a potential bridge guy, because obviously Chris Martin was the automatic eighth inning guy last year. He hasn't pitched as well this year as he did last year. He did struggle. He did kind of blow it against the Cubs in his outing on Sunday night. So the Red Sox definitely could use a nail down guy out of the bullpen, and Zack Kelly struggled, so it might not be him. I mean, Cam Boozer, we're still trying to figure out who he is as a pitcher. So if Uwasawa is an option that the Red Sox are trying to continue to keep on the roster to see how he does, the question that I have now is, can he be a guy in high leverage that the Red Sox can lean on? So definitely something to look out for moving forward. Is he going to continue to utilize those same pitches as much as he does? Is that splitter going to be that knockdown pitch that he says goodnight to a hitter with? So definitely interested in seeing more of his resume, what types of pitches he can utilize. Does he have more up his sleeve or not? We'll find that out as time goes on, but I'm glad the Red Sox gave him an opportunity, because just from quick observation from his first outing, he definitely looked good, definitely looked like he was confident out there, had complete control, and definitely was fooling hitters. So hopefully that lasts in the long run, because the Red Sox definitely could use arms that they can rely on at any given time to come in maybe a 1 or 2 run game and get the job done. And if they can add a Uwasawa to that list of pitchers that could do that, that would be absolutely fantastic. So good first outing for him. Bummer that the Red Sox lost the game. I mean, it definitely was a frustrating loss with all the opportunities they had to win. But at the end of the day, they won the series. They had a good homestand. Let's continue the momentum on the road. A couple tough opponents coming up between the Twins, who are red hot right now, and also the Braves. So hopefully they can pull together some wins against those teams. But as always, keep the faith. Go Red Sox, and I will catch you on the flip side.